Kotarou was born with the ability to rewrite any part of his body. He can become the strongest, fastest, and the smartest person in the world. Until he finds out that he can use this power to rewrite the fate of humanity and control the world. Kotarou is a high school student with an easygoing personality. Though he is unaware of it, he frequently meddles in the affairs of others, and as a result, he is dragged into events. He has a supernatural power called Rewrite, a power that allows him to rewrite his physical body. It can increase his strength, speed, intellect, anything he wants, but at the cost of his lifespan. If he overuses it, he will become a familiar, an artificial creature used by summoners. One night, Kotarou has a strange dream where a mysterious girl stabs him in the chest. This freaks him out, and after waking up, he starts to feel her presence every night. At school, he shares his experience with his friend Kotarou, who recommends he visits Akan, the president of the occult club. He visits the school at midnight to meet her. However, the president of the club doesn't believe his story. But even so, gives him 3 pieces of paper telling him it will protect him. Except for the fact that at night, the mysterious girl appears in his bedroom and bites him, freaking him out. The next day, he joins the occult club to prove that what's happening to him is real. He recruits his childhood friend Kotarou Chihaya, who has super strength, Lucia who wears gloves because she poisons every living being she touches, and Shizuru who can erase people's memories. Working together as a group makes Kotarou realize that he is no longer aimless or lonely. He is finally living a productive life and has a place where he belongs. After learning about Shizuru and Lucia's powers, Kotarou learns how they are part of a secret organization called Guardian, a group of superhumans. Their purpose is to kill the key to avoid world destruction, opposing the rival organization called Gaia, a group of summoners that wants to use the key to destroy the world instead. The club members go to the forest, but Kotarou gets separated from the rest and is attacked by a dog monster that bites his arm. To free himself, Kotarou creates blade claws using his aurora power that pierces the creature's mouth. He then finds Shizuru and Lucia fighting dragons controlled by Gaia's summoners. He runs away to search for the other group members. When he finds them, a giant flying creature appears and stabs Kotarou's hand. The creature then sucks his blood and throws him around. So, Kotarou cuts its tendrils using the blade claws. The ghost girl then appears to save him by defeating the creature. Kotarou rejoins with his group members who are having doubts about Akan and Chihei's intentions. It turns out that both are members of Gaia. Chihei is guardian, Sakuya then arrives to take them away. This leaves the remaining group members in shock. After recovering, Kotarou goes back to school but realizes that his ordinary life is not the same anymore. The girls get busy waging war on each other's groups, leaving Kotarou feeling alone and empty. One day, the mysterious girl finally introduces herself as Kagari. She reveals that she has amnesia and needs Kotarou's assistance to regain her memories. Kotarou finds Kotarou's secret base in a sealed area of the forest. Upon entering, he sees the place filled with various monsters created by her. She shows him the origin tree which carries the power called Aurora. This power created life and has also given birth to Kagari as the key to destroying all life forms. Kotarou is a druid and it is her duty to protect the key that both Gaia and the Guardians are looking for. The day after, however, Sakuya breaks the barrier of the secret base and arrives to keep an eye on Kotarou on Akane's orders. He begins training him as per his request. Through this training, Kotarou learns how he shouldn't rely on his abilities all the time. Considering the more he uses it, the more he ceases to be human. He then meets Akane, who cherishes the time she spent with the occult club and claims that she will help him while acting as an ally of Gaia. The next day, he finds Lucia near the secret base, injured from fighting against Gaia members. With the help of Kagari's magical ribbons, the bleeding stops and Lucia is saved. Since Kagari saved her life, Lucia changes her mind about killing the key. At night, Kotarou notices Kagari acting unnatural. He realizes that she is being manipulated by the Song of Destruction, the melody to trigger the destruction of the world. The song is sung by Sakura, head of Gaia and Akan's adoptive mother, who hopes to witness humanity's downfall before she dies. Kagari loses her senses after hearing it, bringing disaster and calamity to the world. Kotarou's group is summoned back to Kazamatsuri City where monsters are creating havoc and the forest rapidly spreads, invading the city. The giant tree erupts from the ground and the salvation and destruction of humanity begins. Kotarou witnesses the doomsday but fails to save millions of people from dying. Asaka shows up to destroy Kagari, wanting to put an end to the suffering. But Kotarou activates his blade claws and engages in a duel. He keeps attacking but is unable to land a blow on Asaka. He then uses his right ability to increase his speed, and Asaka quickly uses his sword to slash Kotarou's chest in response. When it seems like he is about to lose, Shizuru shows up and crashes a bike into Asaka, throwing him off the building. Kotarou is saved, but the injury makes his state worse. Kotori heals him. He starts transforming into a plant-like human due to excessive use of the right ability. The Song of Destruction is making Kagari scream in pain. She morphs into a giant tree, the source that brings the end of humanity. Kotarou has to kill her to save the world, but he refuses to let her go and breaks down. The life force of humanity starts transforming into glowing lights and descends, and they fuse into the tree. Kotarou wakes up and finds himself in the realm of the ruined Kazamatsuri town. He goes to Daisy Hill, where he sees a different version of Kagari researching a grid embedded in the ground. This Kagari is the incarnation of the moon and the administrator of the worlds. She's researching the grid using the Aurora information left from her Earth version to uncover the theory of life to save humanity and the world. Upon getting close, she kills Kotarou through by stabbing his heart. He wakes up in the same realm just to repeat the process millions of times while trying to find the right way to approach her. Until he finds the miracle elixir of life, coffee. He tries to understand the research but can't. The complexity is too high for a human. He rewrites his brain thousands of times until he reaches a supreme level of intelligence. The pair is interrupted from the research when a monster appears to eliminate Kagari. The creature gets the upper hand and attacks Kagari. But Kotarou uses his blade claws and kills it. Multiple monsters appear next, so they jump off the roof to escape. While falling, a winged monster tries to attack them, so Kotarou kills it. He then summons his club members into the realm to fight alongside him. After defeating the first wave of monsters, Kotarou adds a small piece to the theory, which contains his promise of meeting Kagari again someday. When Kagari touches the grid, its branches transform into a plant cocoon and trap her inside to complete the theory. The Song of Destruction begins, and the cocoon blooms. Most of the club members are defeated by the monsters and ascend as glowing lights. He kills a dragon by cutting its head. Another creature attacks, biting his arm, and he uses his claws to pierce its mouth. Sakuya appears and fights alongside Kotarou, but the enemies outnumber them. After Sakuya dies, monsters tear Kotarou's body into pieces, and he dies and ascends into the sky while flying away. Kotarou learns how they were on the moon, which Kagari had replicated as Earth. The Aurora energy is returning back to Earth to rebirth humanity on it for the last time before vanishing. Kotarou becomes emotional and bids farewell to Kagari. In this new life, Kotarou is a serious and lonely kid who doesn't fit in with his classmates. He doesn't have any memories of what happened previously. One night, while exploring the forest, dragon creatures rip his guts out, wounding him. Fortunately, Asaka's guardian group saves him. His parents are members of Mortal, an environmental protection organization that is also a branch of Gaia. His parents force him to attend their seminars. Later at night, the neighbors leave their daughter Kotori in Kotarou's care. They both spend some of their time together but fail to build a bond. During high school, despite the pressure of fulfilling his duty to his parents, Kotarou slowly starts to quit Model. But he still self-proclaims as an earth-saving hunter, going out at night to kill various monsters using his ability to manipulate blood. On Osaka's advice, he leaves his home and joins the Guardian training camp for superhumans. There he undergoes many hurdles and constant failures, being the worst and weakest trainee. While combating Osaka, Kotarou gets defeated easily, but on his last try, he starts to slowly remember his right ability. Managing to impress Osaka, on the last day of training, He attends the farewell party held by the instructors, thus formally graduating to become a rookie in the Guardian forces, beginning his mission. Guardian sends Kotarou's group out to Kazamatsuri City to find the key and eliminate it. Upon arriving, he roams around for surveillance along with his group members. Suddenly, an emergency signal comes from the forest, and Kotarou runs in where he finds Akane clinging to a tree branch. A hound monster appears and jumps on Kotarou. In reaction, he quickly kicks the monster and fashions a spear using his ability to manipulate blood, promptly killing it. A wave of light appears out of the blue. After hiding a can, Kotarou goes towards the light that is coming from Daisy Hill. There he finds Kagari, the key he was tasked to look for and kill. However, he ends up letting her go. He takes Akane back to her orphanage and later reports the whole event to Osaka, except for his encounter with Kagari. The guilt of lying to and betraying Guardian eats Kotarou away. Therefore, he decides to reshape his life. He packs his bags and leaves Japan to join a private security firm. There, Kotarou becomes a soldier who witnesses tragedy, poverty, and deaths regularly. One day, he shoots an enemy through the head during battle. As a result, he suffers from the trauma of taking someone's life. Out of guilt, he decides his own life is not worth living anymore. But a young girl named Yasmin stops him in time. 1 year later, his team infiltrates a factory where they encounter a monster. The monster is too powerful to defeat, so they set off to find and kill its summoner instead. They enter a dark room where the summoner is and Louis, Kotarou's teammate, fires his gun. Realizing too late that he was shooting at children, some of the kids die from the shots, and the rest are injured, including the girl Yasmin. They feel guilty after learning how these kids were forced to become summoners due to their poverty. Taking the children, they flee the place, but Louis stays behind, sacrificing himself so that Kotarou and the kids can get to safety. Kotarou then finally remembers his reliability and sacrifices his life force to heal the injured kids. He provides them shelter and money to get by on their own. On his next missions, he secretly rescues both summoner and superhuman kids he encounters and brings them into Yasmin's shelter for their protection. All the kids get along despite their differences, and this makes him realize how both Guardian and Gaia can coexist. After living overseas for 2 years, Kotarou decides to go back to Japan. When he returns to Kazamatsuri, he meets Kagari, who asks him to protect humanity. Since the planet can't withstand another re-evolution through salvation, Kotarou promises to stop the war between Gaia and Guardian, hoping it will create fond memories for Kagari to prevent another destruction. For this purpose, Kotarou infiltrates Gaia's organization using a fake identity. He learns the art of summoning and becomes an official member. He finds Kotarou, who has been creating barriers to protect Kagari for the past years as a druid. Determining her whereabouts, Gaia sends out search parties to capture Kagari. They've summoned scouting monsters to surround her, but Kotarou quickly kills the summoners to get rid of the monsters. Seeing their opponents' movements, Guardian also sends out a helicopter to find the key. Using blood manipulation ability, Kotarou creates a spear and throws it at the helicopter to destroy it. He gets into a battle with Asaka, dodging the man's attack from behind, taking out his gun to shoot him with swift movements. Asaka fends off the bullets with his sword and lands a strike in response. Kotarou raises his arm to defend, then manipulates his blood to counter, but Asaka is stronger and throws him back, approaching to deal the final blow. Kotarou's blood solidifies into spikes and pierces Osaka's body. Kotarou then creates a blood sword and runs it through his mentor's chest, apologizing for betraying him. The Song of Destruction begins as Kotarou finds Kagari. He leaves her and goes to the city to stop the choir from singing. Upon reaching Gaia's building, Kotarou uses his remaining life force to create a sword and fights against the final monster protecting the place. He jumps to attack the creature, but it swats him away with its tail. He strikes back multiple times, but the creature breaks a pillar which crashes down at him. He tries to jump away, but the monster bites off his leg with its jaws. Kotarou creates a replacement leg using his powers and rushes forward to throw a decisive blow that finally defeats the giant beast. But due to the excessive use of his rewriting ability, Kotarou is slowly transforming into a monster himself. He reaches the rooftop where he finds all the members already dead and Sakura witnessing the world's destruction. Too late to stop Doomsday, and having no other choice, Kotarou returns to the forest to meet Kagari. All this time, he had abandoned, betrayed, and killed his friends to protect her, trying to stop the end of the world in another way. But everything is too late now, and Kagari tells him that it's okay. She praises him and asks him to finish his final task. Thus, to fulfill his promise, Kotarou stabs her through the heart before she vanishes. Kotarou breaks down emotionally and kisses her as a final goodbye. This act halts the destruction of mankind and lets the remains of humanity survive and recover after the aftermath. Several years later, the occult club members gather in the forest. Together they draw out a monster in the humanoid form of Kotarou. He takes the group to visit the moon. There he reunites with Kagari, and the pair embraces in a show of love. Watch